Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name is Dan Hafner. It's been a little bit since we had a show, an episode here. It's been the holidays. It's summer. We're not as consistent as we were a couple of weeks or a couple months ago. But you know what? That's all right because we're here with Donnie Boivin today. We're going to talk about a very interesting topic. I was very excited to have him on. This world of networking. I'll admit, like I'm not good at it. I can be a people person. I can connect with people, but I'm in the world of development, so I can sit here with my headphones on and just block out the world for 6 hours and be perfectly fine with it. But at the end of the day, we all work with people. People are people who buy from us. They're people who we serve. That's really what it's about. And I'm really interested to learn from Donnie about this. So if you're someone that's using networking for this type of stuff, or you're in sales, or you just are kind of interested, maybe you've tried the networking thing like me and just never really got much out of it. Donnie is going to fix that for us, I assume. So let's dive into it. Before I bring him on here, though, as always, please like, subscribe, and rate the show. That always is super, super helpful wherever you're listening to this or watching this. So that's my quick little plug for that. Welcome to the show, Donnie. How are you, man?
Oh, good, Dan. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm actually really excited about this with your show, with this audience. This is going to be a fun conversation, and I really love talking with people that have tried networking and it hasn't worked for them. And I'll walk through why that is, and we'll fix it all.
Yeah, so let's start there. I mean, like, why do people? What are the most common ways that you see that people just fail at networking? Like,
Yeah.
why do we all screw it up?
So let's define networking. Let's start
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So networking is like you go out to an event, maybe you go to a meeting, you do something, and you meet a bunch of people, right? So we're going to talk about networking that way. Just to clarify, we're not talking about, networking your internet, right? Or networking your computers together. So if I were to ask you, Dan, to define networking for me, how would you define it?
That's a good question. For me, my idea when I think of the word networking, I think of these Zoom calls or, different, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The Chamber of Commerce meetings, or,
Yep.
kind
Yep.
of going to these things where there might be drinks, there might be
Yep.
breakout rooms and Zoom and that kind of stuff. Like that's the thing that comes in my mind.
Cool. So let's reframe networking altogether then.
Okay.
So networking, by my definition, is building other people's businesses.
Mhm.
So this is why we're going to flip everything on its head, okay? Networking in traditional sense was taught by people who sell business to consumer, okay? So they were insurance, life insurance, financial advisory, bankers, right? They're all great people, but they sold business to consumer. Where everything changed is if you sell business to business, everything you're taught in traditional networking will not work. Because in traditional networking, everywhere you go, everyone's a potential client. Okay. When you sell business to business, your clients aren't networking, right? So we have to completely flip the approach on how we look at networking. So if networking is growing other people's businesses, what does that change about your conversations, how you interact, and how you meet and get to know people? And I'm asking you.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's again, it comes down to like this niche conversation. I think like if you're B2C, like you said, it's like almost everyone is your customer. Um, but with a B2B approach, it's like, well, if I work with a specific level of businesses in a specific niche or specific industry, and you do something way over here, um, there's no potential there that there's ever going to be a transaction of money or like
Right.
anything like that. So it becomes that it's almost like that wall kind of comes down, and there's just kind of like, hey, like, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Right, right. So you got to think about it this way. So if my objective is you and I are at a networking event, it could be Chamber of Commerce, could be anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I meet you and I have to grow your business, right? Because I know walking into the room, there's a 99% chance you can't buy anything from me. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that going in. So what I do is actually irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Okay. So, and if I have to worry about trying to explain what I sell, go into this dialogue about all the things that I do, you don't give a shit,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So we have to completely come at this from a different perspective. I need to grow your business. To grow your business, I've got to know what it is you sell. I want to know why you got into it. I want to know, why is this your passion? Who do you work with? Who do you need to meet? Right. And I want to spend an absorbent amount of time getting to know you. Now, this is completely opposite of what we've been taught. We've been taught, you man, you need this elevator pitch and you've got to wow people and you've got to get them to lean in, ask questions and all that stupid shit. And it doesn't work because nobody cares, right? In B2C, you get one moment to interact with somebody, so you better hit them with some sort of zinger. In B2B, it's not just one conversation. We're going to see each other again. It may be another event, maybe another conference, maybe another chamber meeting. But in B2B, we're used to a long sales cycle, right? We're used to longer conversations. So my conversation, what I do right now, does not even matter. I actually hope that by the time we get done with a first interaction, you have to look at me and go, Donnie, you know all about me and I know nothing about you, right? Because it really, truly doesn't matter.
Mm,
So what we have to do is we've got to figure out, how do we open doors for people? And this is how I do it everywhere I go. First question I will always ask somebody in a one-on-one or at a chamber of commerce is, how did you get into what you do? That question just opens up Pandora's box, because we all know people love talking about themselves, right? So
yes.
they're going to instantly start walking you through it. And for too long, you're not even getting elevator pitches and things from them. You're just having a fun conversation, geeking out on their story, right? The next move we make in this process is, I'll ask it, and we'll just do it live on the air. So if you were to give me the first name of your favorite client, Dan, don't tell me who they are. I just want the first name of your favorite client. What would be that person's first name?
Oh, I got a couple. I got a couple.
Just pick one.
Gail.
Gail, cool. What industry is Gail in?
She is in the coaching really industry.
Cool. What kind of coaching?
She coaches women in the network marketing
Cool.
space.
All right. So if you were to meet 100 people like Gail before the end of the year, how would that impact your business?
Probably very positively, I would
Cool.
assume. Yeah.
Okay. So what we need to understand is, I may not meet people like Gail, right? I'm not going to meet a lot of coaches that are focused on women, right? I'm also not going to talk to anybody in the network marketing space, right? Not my world, not my playground, won't play with it, okay? So I'm never going to run into people like Gail and be able to make that referral for you, okay? So in a B2B game, I don't give a damn about referrals. So a referral is introducing two people and there's an expected sales call to happen. Okay. So it'd be like me meeting somebody like Gail going, hey, Dan, I met Gail. She's looking to develop a software or an app for her community, for her people. I've told her all about you. She's excited to meet. So Gail's expecting a sales discovery call at minimum. Okay.
Mhm.
So in our world, it's all about introductions. So I may not be able to get you to Gail, but I can 100% get you to people who are also trying to sell to Gail, right? So if we were to take and draw a triangle, we put you at the top of the triangle, we put Gail in the center, and we put women coach, female coach, right? Who else would be selling to these female coaches that are not competition for you? So, what industries would sell to these female coaches that are not competition for you at all?
I mean, you would in this instance, probably there's a huge market around selling stuff to coaches these
There
days.
is. There is.
Whether it's software, whether it's other coaching programs
Yep.
or
Yep.
school communities or whatever.
Cool.
There's a bunch
So
of it. Yeah.
things that people I'm going to likely run into are course creators, right? Book publishers, right? Because they're all over those people. I'm going to run into social media companies. I'm going to run into marketing firms. All of these people who are not competition for you, but are selling to those same people. So I can't get you to Gale, but I can get you to all the other people who are also selling to Gale.
Mm.
So I had a young lady approach me last year, and this will really help put it into perspective. And she said, Donnie, nobody will refer me business. I said, okay, well, tell me what you do. She goes, I do tuition assistance, meaning I go into uh company or homes and help people save money on their, putting their kids into college. And I said, do you understand why you're not getting any referrals? And she said, no. And I said, because nobody wants to admit that they can't afford to send their kids to college, right? Nobody's going to just put that out there. I said, but somebody's having that intimate level conversation with those families on a regular basis. And so I asked her, if you were to look through your list of clients and were to determine what industry sends you the most referrals, what industry would it be? And she said, bookkeepers without skipping a beat. I said, interesting. Right. I mean, I said, I assume it's because bookkeepers are in there talking about they got to put enough money aside to put their kids through college. She goes, absolutely. So I said, here's what I want you to do. I said, for the rest of the year, I want you to say, I do tuition assistance and I'd love to meet your bookkeeper. Right? Really simple. No harm, no foul. There's nothing to sell the bookkeeper, right? It's just an introduction. She called me up 3 weeks before the end of the year. We tripled her business. And I didn't coach her anything beyond that. All I got her is to focus in on getting introduced to the perfect referral partner. See, in B2B networking, we are out networking. We're meeting a ton of people, but these are not people we're traditionally going to be selling to. So we've got to figure out how do we leverage the network to get us to the people that can actually open doors for you. So
Mm.
if you and I were sitting down and I said, dude, I can't get you to anybody like Gail, but I can get you to Jessica Gruber, who builds websites. I can get you to Megan, that does websites. I can get you to Maria, who works on Instagram, that's focused on coaches, right? I can introduce you to a ton of people that their ideal client is also your ideal client and not competition, right? And if we play networking this way, now we can leverage our network to really get deep into our network. And imagine you meet 100 website companies, or you meet 100 of these marketing firms, or 100 of these book publishing companies. Now you start building your diamond, your starting lineup, if you will, of people that can really make referrals for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's actually it aligns with a meeting I was on last week, funny enough, where basically we had talked about, long story short, started kind of pitching a new offer to kind of just white label the entire service that we provide for marketing agencies, because marketing agencies work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who are redoing their websites, getting things out there, doing whatever, but a lot of them do not offer software development. So what we have now is a complete white labeled version to say, hey, you guys, marketing agencies, would you like to offer website builders? Would you like to offer software development as well? White label, you know, Dapper Mobile
What you
Apps,
do,
like,
watch this. We'll take this even one step further. So now you know that these website agencies, or some of these marketing agencies, right? They may potentially white label your stuff. So now you tell people, I'm assuming, is there an upfront fee for these marketing agencies to do your stuff, or they make money if they actually sell it?
it's just that it's make they make money. We
If
only
they
make
sell
money
it.
if they make money. Yes,
Perfect.
correct.
So
Yep.
literally, so now your marketing and your networking completely changes dynamics now. So now you tell people, hey, I do app development, and I'd actually would love to meet with whoever does your marketing, right? And you could even throw the caveat on there. I'm not got anything to sell them, right? Because technically, there's no cash exchange. You're not trying to sell them anything. Now, if they say, cool, I'm happy to do that, you can ask them to ask one simple question before they make the introduction. And that simple question would simply be, have they ever thought about adding apps or software development to their offerings? Okay.
Yep.
Now, if
Simple.
people make that introduction for you, you're going in there already teed up for a beautiful conversation,
Yeah.
right? So now imagine this. If we're networking and I make 5 or 6 introductions to these marketing companies for you. And then I say, hey, I'd love to meet to be introduced to anybody you know who has a podcast. How more likely are you ready to make an introduction for me after I've already given you 4 or 5?
Yeah. Very. Of
Right?
course. Yeah.
This is how you got to start re-looking at networking as a whole to really make it work for you. I hope
Hmm.
this makes a little bit of sense.
No, it does. Like there's a term I heard before, like a pot of gold, where people, like you almost, and I'm guilty of this as well too. You kind of go back and you say like, oh wow, like if I really stopped and thought about all the different people I know and all these different things, it's actually worth probably a lot to the right different people. I have the different connections and stuff, but interestingly enough, like this is very very cool because I think probably I'm not the only one, right? You're in like a Zoom meeting or you're in one of these let's network type of
Yep.
things. And you're sitting there kind of looking at everyone maybe on like the gallery view, and you're sitting there like, I don't think a single one of these people would ever be a client of mine, but I don't even know if they know anyone, right? Like I don't even think I'm in the right room. But the way that you just framed that um, is genius, and it kind of gives you like, hey, I would like to meet this person, or I would like to be introduced to this, and it's kind of because I like that. You're almost like it's like you're not really seeing past the person, but you're kind of what's the word? What's the way I'm trying to phrase this? You're kind of not using them, but you know what I mean? Like you're kind
Right.
of like, hey, like I get where we're like, this is great to meet you. I would love to, connect with somebody, your external network to do those types of things. I can't really get out what I'm trying to say, but I love that because that really reframes it in a lot better of a way.
Yeah. And so that's cool. In addition to that, we were raised in this ideology from Ivan Meisner, who's a great guy, Zig Ziglar, who was an amazing guy for me to grow up on. And they all had this kind of thought process. Mother Teresa there, you help people, right? And you take care of people. And,
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Meisner said you give to gain. Zig Ziglar said you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all these sayings, they're wrong. And it is a horrible philosophy. Great people, horrible philosophy. And here's why. If you go out and you ask people who network, you're going to find people that you'll sit across and they go, man, I am opening so many doors. I'm making so many introductions. I'm helping so many people, and I'm not getting jack shit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the reason being is because the philosophy doesn't work in business. It may work in charity settings, right? But it doesn't work in business. So in business, you have to give, but you also have to take. And if you never take, you're going to be taken advantage of. Because let's face it, if people know that you can open doors, they're going to keep showing up because you open doors. And so if you never feed yourself, you're going to eventually run out of doors that to open, or you're just going to flat out burn out in networking. And most times, people that burn out on networking is one, because they don't know how to do it. Two, it's because they continue to open doors and never take care of themselves. So the way you have to philosophically change all this is you got to be willing to go make introductions for other people. Same way, you need to figure out who are those synergy partners they need to meet. Like if you could get them to these people, it's not a referral. You're not trying to get them to people that can do business with them. You're trying to get them to those synergy partners, right? Those people that they can collaborate with. So if you can figure out, maybe they're a website company. Cool. A great referral for a website company is copywriters, is telecom companies, is MSPs, IT companies. So cool. If I meet a website company, I'm instantly starting to think of who else is going to be selling to their ideal client, but is not competition for them. Right. And then I'm going to make those 4 or 5 introductions. And then I'm going to make a very specific ask for who I need to beat. So let's say in your case, right, you need to get to these female coaches, right, that are working with women. So you sit across from somebody and maybe they're an IT company, right? So IT companies, great referral sources for them. Number one is telecom companies, right? They go hand in hand with their services and typically not competition. So you meet an IT company, you go through your entire Rolodex, you go through LinkedIn, and you try and connect them with as many telecom companies as you possibly can. And then you say, hey, I'm really looking to get connected with female, coaches, female business coaches, right? Whatever that phraseology is. And what you'll find is after you've already done all the introductions, they're making an introduction back for you. It's not a sales call, it's merely an introduction. It's on you then once you get introduced to that business coach, that person that can say yes to you, or that marketing firm. It's on you to figure out how to make the collaborations and have the conversation from there. But you use your network to get introduced to people that can get you to your ideal client.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably more people than would be willing to admit that. Like, I love what you said in business. You can give, but you got to take every once in
Yep.
a while. So that's very very interesting there. So I want to ask you about this now, bringing this kind of back into the tech world. If I'm a SaaS founder, like I
Yep.
have I have my own platform, I have my own app, I have a business that I'm growing in the software industry. Um, is networking worth my time? How do I go about doing that? Whether I do have, maybe it is a B2C platform or maybe it's a B2B, software. So that's kind of broad, but
Yeah.
what do you say to people like that?
Well, let's talk about just software in general. It doesn't matter what they sell. Networking is going to work as long as they understand who their ideal end user client is. And I think what a lot of people get screwed up is they don't actually know who they're selling to. Like they've
Mhm.
never put a persona together. So they don't know who the ultimate person that can say yes is. So they need to start there. So I'll talk about a buddy of mine, Chad King, runs a software development company. Their average deal is $300,000 to $500,000, right? Big freaking software. And traditional networking is never going to work for him. Going to the Chamber of Commerce, those type of things are never going to work for him, right?
Yeah.
Because the people that are working with his ideal clients are not sitting in a Chamber of Commerce meeting. So he has to get around the VCs, the venture capitalists. He's got to get around the angel companies. He's got to get around the people that are in the trenches with the people that can say yes to them. So for him, he focuses 100% on telling people, look, I do software, but I'd love to be connected to anybody that's in the VC space. I'd love to be connected with anybody that is in the angel investing side of things. He's not trying to sell the VCs. He needs a VC's client base,
Yeah.
right? Right. And it changes the dynamics of it. So you have to understand who are you selling to and then who's got those clients, right? And once you understand who's got those clients, now it changes everything about networking because especially in something like software, very rarely are you going to walk into a room and see your perfect ideal clientele. They're not networking, right? So you've got to leverage the network, but you got to understand who you need to get connected to that has your ideal client.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Because it's about distribution, right? I think I've heard this from people before, like they're like, oh, when the first time I did my business, I learned these lessons and I screwed up in this ways. And then the second or third or fourth time I was around, I realized it was all about distribution. It was how can I get this in front of, even if it's not the greatest product out there in my industry, it might be a subpar product, right? But it's about the messaging, about the marketing, it's about the how am I fixing this problem? But you got to get it in front of the right people in the right way, So it's a distribution thing,
Yeah,
you
so
know.
think about it this way. If I give you a referral, right? That's like a one-time transaction most times, right? You
Mm,
go in, you build an app, you build some software for somebody, right? And then you go on. There may be a couple other deals happen, but most likely it's that one deal. But if I can get you introduced to the person who has 500 female coaches, now it's radically changes the entire dynamics. Now, it's your job to go in there and earn those coaches, right? Go earn that person's business. And you do that by opening doors for them first and then asking for doors to be open for you. But if I don't give a damn about giving you a referral. I want to get you to that introduction. Referral, one transaction. The right introduction, you're talking about 1,000 referrals over a lifetime, even more if it's the right introduction. That's who I want to get you to.
yeah,
So I'll spend an enormous amount of time trying to understand and help them understand that I'm not going to get you to your end user client, but I will get you that synergy. And man, it's such a fun conversation, especially when people come back to you and like, oh my God, dude, my whole business is transformed by one introduction.
yeah. Isn't that amazing? So
Yeah.
I actually want to ask you maybe for like a piece of practical advice too, because you said something earlier and it just came back into my mind. So because you said like a lot of us are trained on, if you go to these Zoom, networking meetings or whatever they might be, hey, give us your 30-second pitch, and they go around the room,
So
right?
stupid.
So okay, well, so if you find yourself in
Yep.
one of those situations, how do you handle it? What should we
So,
do?
so I'll even tell you what I do. So I run B2B networking groups all throughout North America, right? So we bring business professionals together that are tired of traditional networking, right? So that's 50,000 foot view of what we do. If somebody asks me what I do, I'm like, look, I run B2B networking groups. I'd love to meet anybody that has a podcast stage or anywhere I can put my message out there. I'm in, I'm out, I'm fucking done, right? I prefer people to say what they do in less than 5 words. Like let's say what we do and move on. If you feel like because here's the thing. If you got to explain what you do, you're going to inevitably start pitching,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
It's a nervous tick.
yeah.
And it's not like you're trying to do it, but somebody says what you do and they nod and all of a sudden you kind of get these visual and this body language cues like, oh my God, they're actually into this. And you don't mean to, but you're going to start vomiting at the mouth of all the things you do. And then that nervous energy is going to keep you running and running, running, running. So the best thing
Hmm.
you can do if you really wanted to like a roadmap is say what you do in less than 5 words and then say specifically who you want to be introduced to, not the referral, the synergy partner. So I do tuition assistance for families. I'd love to meet bookkeepers. And when you can say that specific industry like that, watch the introductions. And I can promise you, almost any Zoom meeting, if you say, hey, I do software and apps, and I'd love to meet marketing agencies, just say that
Hmm.
and watch the introductions come through because now you've given people a specific direction that they can go, oh, wait, I know marketing companies, right? But if you were to say, I'm looking for people who are looking to do apps and software, everybody goes blank because they don't ever think about that.
Yeah.
But if you say, I need marketing firms, they're like, oh, well, I know Steve, Bob, and the introductions will come through right then and there, right? Because there's also no skin on the game, right? You're not asking for a referral, right? You're asking to be introduced to people who are working with your ideal clients.
Wow. That's good stuff. That's very, very, very useful. Appreciate that. Okay, a couple more minutes here to fill. So, you know, how do how do you see people like logistically kind of fold this into their business, right? So let's say maybe you have a business that you've built up. Maybe it's just, I mean, word of mouth is kind of network is referral.
Yeah,
People say,
I
"Oh
look
my,
at it as it's building your word of mouth sales team.
yeah, yeah, exactly." So how does one go about
So let's tackle it
folding
from
that
two
in?
perspectives,
Okay.
right? One, I'll talk about the 4 places you need to be networking, and two, I'll talk about, especially from an introvert standpoint, how you network at events. All right, so we'll tackle those both really, really quick. All right, so 4 places you need to be networking. First one is an association. Now, let me fix this. It is not association filled full of your peers. Like if you sell software, going to a software association is freaking pointless.
Right.
So you want to go to an association, like in your case, go to an association for marketing, like AMA, American Marketing Association. Go to places where the people who are selling to your ideal clients are hanging out, right? That's the association you want to be a part of. And most times, what you're going to find is in those associations that have your synergy partners, not your clients, you're going to be the only one in that association. You're not going to find any competition in there, which is a really, really cool place to be.
Yeah.
So imagine being in a room with 200 marketing, companies, and you're the only one that does apps and software, right? Now you get into a ton of cool conversations.
Yeah.
The second place you need to be networking is you need to be sitting on a nonprofit board. So if we think about people who sit on nonprofits, they're decision makers, CEOs, business owners of pretty good sized companies. So the nonprofit's got to be something you actually give a shit about. Like it's got to be something you care about. Okay. So whatever you're into, dogs, like I see all the chihuahuas in your back. So maybe there's a Chihuahua association. You're welcome for that. Right. So maybe there's, some association that you're really passionate about. Now go look at the board and go say, is this board people I want to network with? Because when you get around people who make high power decisions, good things happen over time. Okay. The third one is you need a weekly powerhouse group. That's where my company comes in place. We do B2B networking. So if you sell B2B, you need to come check out Success Champions Networking. I know, shameless plug, sorry. The fourth place is you need a private club. So a private club could be a country club, business club, cigar club, wine club, yacht club, some place where you're paying a fee and private conversations were happening. I told this to a young lady last week and she said, "Well, I've been part of a country club." And I said, "In that country club, how many people do you know what they do for a living?" She goes, "Absolutely none." I said, "The greatest thing you can do for in that country club is to start a business networking happy hour. Just literally put it on the club calendar and says, "Hey, I just want to figure out what everybody does for a living. Come have cocktails, right? We're going to meet at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. Just show up, be you, come have a cocktail and watch what happens." Because everybody wants to talk business. Everybody's just scared to talk business,
Hmm.
right? So if you do those four places, you'll be blown away by how quickly your networking evolves. Now, I didn't say Chamber of Commerce. I didn't say, especially for B2B, I didn't say BNI, nothing against the organization, right? But you've got to go get into the rooms where private conversations are happening because that's where all the big deals actually get done. Now, if you're introverted and you're like, "I am not going to these events, these rooms, because I am not about to approach a soul," we'll fix that in four quick moves. So, and I get brought in to do this speech a lot of times. So, but the four ways you should network, especially if you're an introvert. Way number one, when you go to an event and you sign in, I want you to go to the end of the sign in table after you've signed in and just stand there. And Dan, I'll ask you, why the hell would you just stand there at the end of the sign in table?
I mean, that's where everyone goes through.
They do.
Yeah.
Odds are somebody's going to walk up there to you because they think you work there and go, "Hey, I don't know where I'm going. Can you tell me?" And you say, "You know what? I'm actually a guest too. Let's go figure it out." Because with introverts, they usually just need somebody else to make the first move, right? And then they can get the conversation. So you literally just you sign in, go stand at the end of the desk, and just freaking stand there and watch the people come to you. It's so funny to watch. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
The second way to do this is if you don't want to stand at the end, that feels too awkward for you, is when you sign in, you ask the people signing you in, you just say, "Hey, I'm new, my first time. I'm a little nervous. I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to out there or interact with." They're going to smile. The people signing you in are going to smile and go, "Oh, you need to talk to that person and that person." You just need then 5 seconds of courage to walk up to that person, and all you've got to say is, "The sign-in desk said I should, come meet you. I'm new here." They'll take care of everything else because the person they're going to point to is going to be the most extroverted person in that room, and they're going to freaking take you around, and they're going to be your savior for the whole thing. Okay? If you're not comfortable with any of those two ways, way three, you walk in, go straight to the bar, and you get that liquid courage. Okay? And then you just start walking the wall. Don't go into the crowd, walk the wall until you bump into the other wallflower. Like the person that knows they should be out in the crowd, but they're too scared to do anything. And as soon as you walk up to them, all you got to say is, "I'm nervous too. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing here." And watch the conversation start and strike. And here's the funny thing, guys. Your wallflowers, your introverts, they're typically business owners, right? They are people that are out there networking. They need to grow their the business, but they are just too nervous to do it, right? So go walk the wall. Okay. Last one, take an extroverted friend, take a wingman. So when you go in, have your extroverted friend take you into the crowd, then have them peel off. Okay. Once they peel off, when your introvertedness goes off, you're like, "Okay, I'm peopled out. Go find your friend." Right? And that becomes home base. When the friend sees you catch there, they need to peel off and go find another group. When you get introverted out, peel out. So sorry I talk for a whole lot, but I love teaching that because most people, especially your introverts, really, really struggle with that kind of stuff.
No, that's useful. I appreciate it. Wow, I never would have. I mean, I get the standing at the end of the desk. That's kind of funny. I got a kick out of that one. That's pretty cool to try that sometime.
Yeah, do it. I mean, more people are blown away by how often people walk up to them just by standing there.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to one in a while, but I've there. I think there's some power in like in just admitting like you're shy or you're
Yep.
nervous or just like, hey, like I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. Like people love, but like we talked about earlier, that's human nature. People love to give,
Yep.
and we're still ingrained with that Zig Ziglar type of stuff of like give
Yep.
more to people. So if you just kind of like have enough of a moment to put yourself in that position, like boom, like that's
Yep.
usually for people who are introverted, like that's the biggest piece. Like once they're there, they can
Yep.
usually talk to people, they can kind of get along. That's very, very interesting. That's some really cool tips. I
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
that. Thank you. All right. Well, that's probably going to be about a wrap for this one. So we can find more with you here at successchampionnetworking.com, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, cool.
So, or
So
LinkedIn, right? I mean,
LinkedIn as
I'm
well.
all
Okay.
over LinkedIn, so
Okay.
another fun place. And I'm happy to jump on Zoom calls with anybody and try and help them work through all this.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely something I know. Even admittedly for me, like I you kind of go in, you go out of, you go, but it's about being consistent in whatever you're doing and whatever channel you're doing.
100%.
So this is definitely I would definitely recommend you guys connect with Donnie and figure some stuff out because this has been really really helpful. I hope you guys got value out of it as well.
And guys,
So
just do me a favor. If you hung out with us this long and you've gotten any value out of this, do me a favor and take a screenshot of wherever you're listening to this in, and then take that out to social media. Tag me and Dan in it. If I see the tag, dude, I will jump on and comment on it. If Dan sees, I'm sure he'll comment. But having my own show, I could tell you one of the hardest things in the world is building an audience. So if you'll take a screenshot, tag us in there, it really lets him know this is the type of content that he needs to do more of. This is the thing he wants. And it's not this episode. If there's any other episode you get value out of, do the same thing. Just take a screenshot, post it on social media, tag us in there. Happy to come, comment, and engage on
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Go
it.
ahead and do that, guys. Appreciate that. All right,
Absolutely.
Donnie. Well, this was awesome, man. Thank you so much for the tips, the tricks, the wisdom here. It was a good time. So, thank you for joining. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, brother.
All right. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Just like Donnie said, screenshot us, send us, tag us on social media, wherever it is. I know I'm usually bigger on Facebook or starting to get a little more into Twitter. We'll see how all that goes. But yeah, just tag us, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. Please be sure to like and subscribe the show. That always helps as well. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Go check out Donnie. Let me put it in here one more time. It'll be in the show notes, but it's successchampionnetworking.com is where you can connect with him as well. All right, guys. Appreciate all of you, and we'll talk to you next time.